When human engineer saves the day for alien crew, the stars stretched endlessly across the black void, distant points of light twinkling like tiny promises of life in the cold silence. The exploration ship Orion's Reach drifted slowly, its engines sputtering with uneven power. The once-proud vessel, designed for long journeys across uncharted space, now carried the tension of its crew like a storm cloud. Every alarm that chimed was another reminder of how fragile they had become in this vast, unyielding expanse. Commander Verk, the ship's alien captain, stood rigid on the bridge, his four arms crossed tightly against his chest. His green-scaled skin reflected the dim red warning lights that flashed across the control panels. Normally calm and commanding, Verk now radiated unease. The systems of the Orion's Reach were failing in ways even his experienced crew had trouble understanding. He had spent decades piloting ships through the void, but this vessel's sudden troubles were beyond anything he had encountered. "Main reactor stabilizers are fluctuating again," called out Lyra, the ship's navigator, her 6 eyes darting across the screens. Her delicate limbs moved rapidly over the touch panels, trying to adjust settings, but the readouts were chaotic. She emitted a high-pitched chittering noise, a sound that was the alien equivalent of frustration. "We cannot maintain this power flow much longer. If it fails, the ship will be compromised." Verk exhaled a long hiss and turned to the human engineer standing quietly at the rear of the bridge. Jake, a young human with tousled brown hair and a perpetually determined expression, had been aboard the Orion's Reach for only a few months. The aliens had initially dismissed him as an inexperienced human, useful for minor repairs, but not for the serious problems threatening the ship. Humans, in their eyes, lacked the precision and analytical depth of alien engineers, whose instincts and training had been honed for centuries. Jake ignored the skeptical glances and focused on the fluctuating energy readings. He noticed a pattern that the aliens had overlooked. "The reactor isn't just unstable," he said calmly. "It's overcompensating for a failing coolant loop. If we don't redirect the flow, the containment chamber could reach critical levels within minutes." The bridge went silent. Verk's mandibles clicked nervously. He had learned to respect the human's confidence, but the thought of trusting a species so young, so untested, with the life of the ship made him uneasy. "Explain your plan," he said, his voice a deep rumble. Jake stepped forward, pointing at the holographic projection of the reactor. "We need to reroute the primary coolant through the secondary conduits. It will temporarily stabilize the system while I make a permanent repair. It's risky, but it's the only way to prevent a meltdown." Lyra emitted a sharp chirp. "Risky? That path was never meant to handle full reactor flow. You'll overload it." "I understand," Jake replied, his eyes steady, "but we don't have the luxury of time. If we wait for conventional methods, the entire ship could be lost." He moved to a nearby panel, sliding open access panels with quick, sure movements. His hands worked faster than the aliens could follow, connecting circuits, redirecting coolant, and monitoring energy surges. For the first time since the alarms had begun, some of the tension on the bridge eased. Verk studied Jake's hands as they moved with deliberate precision. It was not only speed that impressed him, but the confidence, the calm, the absence of panic. Unlike the alien crew, who relied on centuries of protocol, Jake relied on instinct, adaptability, and observation. Minutes passed that felt like hours. The alarms shrieked with fluctuating tones, warning of imminent failure, yet Jake's adjustments slowly stabilized the reactor. Lyra and the other crew members watched in silent disbelief as the energy readings steadied. The temperature of the containment chamber plateaued, holding just below critical levels. Verk exhaled a slow hiss and turned away from the main console, his scaled face betraying a flicker of awe. He had underestimated the human, and now it was clear. Jake's approach was not reckless, it was precise and effective. The ship's survival rested in the hands of a species the aliens had barely taken seriously, and yet he was proving invaluable. "Temporary stability achieved," Jake said, wiping sweat from his brow. His voice carried a quiet sense of satisfaction, not arrogance. "We'll need to run full diagnostics and replace some conduits, but the reactor won't explode while I manage repairs." "Impressive," Lyra admitted, her voice a low hum. "I didn't think it was possible." "You humans, you think differently." There was both admiration and lingering skepticism in her tone. She had been trained to handle crises in rigid patterns, following centuries of established procedures. Jake's improvisation challenged everything she had learned. Even as the immediate danger passed, a new tension settled in the bridge. Verk paced slowly, his eyes scanning the approaching starfield. "This ship was not meant to fail like this," he muttered. "Yet it almost did. We need to understand why." He turned sharply to Jake. "Human, I want a full assessment of all systems, every anomaly. If you miss something, we could still lose the ship." Jake nodded, already moving toward the engineering deck. His mind was focused on the reactor, but he also noted other failing systems, minor leaks, worn conduits, and irregular energy pulses. Each problem seemed small on its own, but combined could compromise the vessel over time. He worked quickly, his hands moving with both confidence and urgency, patching circuits, recalibrating sensors, and rerouting power flows. The alien crew hovered nearby, offering assistance but careful not to interfere. They were used to working with their own species, whose approach to engineering was methodical, almost ritualistic. Jake's methods seemed chaotic, yet they produced results. Slowly, the crew began to trust him, observing his every move, learning from his choices. Outside the viewport, the stars seemed to pulse against the blackness, as if mirroring the tension inside the ship. The Orion's reach was far from home, deep in a sector known for cosmic anomalies and debris fields. One wrong decision, one missed warning, and the consequences would be catastrophic. The human engineer carried not only the hopes of the ship, but also the fragile trust of an entire alien crew who had doubted him from the start. Hours passed, and the reactor held steady. Jake finally leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "We'll need replacement conduits soon, but for now, we're stable." His voice carried relief, but not the kind of excitement that might distract from the ongoing work. There was still much to do. Life support systems needed recalibration, navigation sensors had glitches, and the engines showed signs of strain. Verk approached slowly, his many eyes fixed on Jake. "You've done what no one else could. You saved this ship." His voice carried a mixture of respect and disbelief. "I misjudged your species. It seems humans possess qualities we cannot measure easily, yet they are formidable." Jake offered a small, polite smile. "I just look for the problems and solve them. That's all any engineer does." His tone was modest, but there was pride in his words. He knew that this moment would change the way the crew viewed humans, not as fragile, inexperienced beings, but as capable, adaptable, and daring. Lyra approached, her eyes wide. "We'll need a full report, of course," she said, though her voice had softened. "But I think we've learned something important today. Your methods work. They may even work better than ours in situations we cannot anticipate." Jake nodded, already turning to the next panel. There was no time for celebration. Space was unforgiving, and the Orion's reach was far from safe. Yet for the first time since the crisis began, a sense of hope flickered across the bridge. The human engineer had not only prevented disaster, but had also inspired confidence in the crew. Outside, the stars continued their silent journey across the black void. Inside, the crew of the Orion's reach began to see humanity in a new light, a species small and seemingly fragile, yet capable of brilliance, courage, and unwavering determination. The ship had survived, but more importantly, trust had been earned. The human engineer was no longer merely a crew member. He had become the quiet hero who reminded the universe that sometimes, the smallest beings can make the biggest difference. As Jake adjusted the final controls, he glanced at the viewport. Somewhere beyond the distant stars, challenges awaited, unknown anomalies, cosmic storms, and mysteries that would test every skill he had. But in that moment, the Orion's reach was safe, and the alien crew had learned something invaluable. Humans were not to be underestimated. And that knowledge, more than any repair or recalibration, was the beginning of something far greater. The Orion's reach drifted steadily through the void, its systems still recovering from the earlier reactor crisis. The ship's alarms had quieted, but a lingering tension filled the corridors. The alien crew moved carefully, their multi-limbed forms gliding across the decks as they checked instruments and monitored the ship's remaining anomalies. None of them spoke loudly. Even the normally talkative Lyra worked silently, her eyes flicking between displays with a focus that made her usual chittering seem like a memory. Jake moved quickly through the engineering deck, tools in hand. His mind was already calculating the next steps. The emergency repairs had bought time, but they were not a permanent solution. Coolant conduits had been rerouted, but many were worn thin from years of service. Sensors were still misaligned, and the engines were straining from irregular energy pulses. He knelt over a control panel, scanning the schematics and comparing real-time data with theoretical norms. He could feel the pressure of expectation. The aliens had watched him closely during the reactor crisis, and now their trust rested on his decisions. Humans were small, their species young compared to the aliens' long lives. But Jake had learned long ago that speed, creativity, and intuition often mattered more than tradition. He pulled out a worn connector and began replacing a fragile line, connecting it with careful precision. Sparks flew briefly as the panel powered up, but Jake's steady hands ensured no damage occurred. From the observation deck, Verk watched the human engineer work. His eyes narrowed, scanning the flickering lights of the control panels and the steady movements of Jake's hands. He had never seen an alien engineer work with such improvisation. Every adjustment seemed risky by alien standards, yet each result was flawless. Verk's forearms flexed as he paced, a sign of both anxiety and growing admiration. "You humans," Verk muttered under his breath, his tone low but filled with wonder. "You act without hesitation, and yet your results surpass our calculations." "There is brilliance in your simplicity." Lyra appeared beside him, still silent. Her gaze followed Jake's every move, noting each adjustment and recalibration. "He is not like us," she said finally. "He does not overthink, he reacts and adapts. It is effective." Jake continued his work, unaware of the conversation behind him. His attention was drawn to the engines, where irregular pulses threatened to destabilize the ship's trajectory. He accessed the main console and traced the anomalies back to a set of worn conduits in the power distribution grid. These conduits had been exposed to radiation over many light-years of travel, and their degradation had gone unnoticed by standard sensors. "This could get tricky," Jake murmured to himself. "We need to reroute some energy flows while keeping the engines stable. One wrong move and we could lose propulsion." He worked methodically, connecting temporary bypass circuits while monitoring every pulse. Sweat ran down his forehead as he adjusted output levels, balancing power across the ship with the precision of someone who understood not only the machinery, but the consequences of failure. Meanwhile, the alien crew began to relax slightly, seeing that Jake was capable. Their earlier skepticism had not vanished, but curiosity and a cautious respect had taken its place. For the first time, they began to ask questions, watching and learning rather than simply giving orders. Suddenly, an alert flashed on the navigation panel. Lyra leaned forward, her eyes widening. "Asteroid cluster detected ahead," she exclaimed, her chittering voice quick and sharp. "The sensors show unpredictable movements. If we continue on this path, collision is inevitable." Verk's jaw tightened. "How much time do we have?" he demanded. "Minutes at best," Lyra responded. "Our engines are unstable, manual maneuvers may fail." Jake looked up from his panel, scanning the readings. His mind worked faster than the sensors could report. "We can make it," he said confidently, though his voice carried the weight of concentration. "We need to adjust the engine's output rhythm and use a series of micro-thrusts to guide the ship through. It's risky, but we can do it." Verk's eyes narrowed. "You are suggesting maneuvers no alien pilot has attempted in decades. Are you certain?" Jake didn't hesitate. "If we wait for traditional methods, the cluster will destroy us. Trust me, I'll guide the engines manually." The alien captain's hesitation was brief. The situation allowed no room for doubt. "Do it," he ordered, his voice calm but urgent. "Human, the ship is yours." Jake moved to the navigation console, connecting auxiliary controls to the engines. He monitored energy output, recalibrated thrusters, and adjusted the ship's alignment in real time. Outside the viewport, the asteroid cluster loomed closer, enormous rocks tumbling unpredictably through the darkness. Every move was calculated to the second, but the sheer chaos of the field meant there was no room for error. The crew watched in tense silence. Lyra's 6 eyes tracked the movement of the ship as Jake guided it, following his precise instructions. The microthrust sent the vessel weaving between massive chunks of rock, each maneuver more daring than the last. Sparks from minor collisions lit up the viewports briefly, and the crew flinched as small debris scraped the hull. Hours felt like minutes as Jake worked tirelessly. He didn't speak much, communicating through short commands and precise gestures, letting the results speak for themselves. The alien crew followed his guidance, adjusting panels and systems under his instructions. Slowly, the Orion's reach began to clear the densest part of the cluster, the massive rocks tumbling past with barely a meter to spare. Finally, the ship emerged into open space once more. A collective sigh ran through the crew. Verk's arms flexed with relief, though he maintained a composed exterior. "You have done what no alien pilot could," he said, his voice steady. "Your instincts, they are unlike anything I have witnessed." Jake wiped his forehead, exhaustion evident on his face. "We're not out of danger yet," he said. "The engines are strained, we'll need full maintenance soon, and the hull shows minor damage, but we made it." Lyra emitted a low, melodic chirp, a sound of wonder mixed with approval. "I did not think it possible. You humans, you see solutions where we see only obstacles." The bridge remained quiet for a moment, each crew member processing what had just happened. They had survived not because of technology or protocols alone, but because a human had adapted, improvised, and led when no one else could. Jake didn't have time to reflect. The sensors picked up another anomaly, a faint energy signature moving rapidly toward them. It wasn't immediately threatening, but its sudden appearance sent a ripple of unease across the crew. Verk's eyes narrowed, his instincts warning him that danger was approaching. "Unknown vessel," Lyra reported. "It is approaching fast. We cannot identify it." Jake moved quickly to analyze the readings. "It's moving with intent," he said. "We should prepare for possible contact or conflict. The crew needs to know what's coming before we decide our next move." Verk's multiple arms flexed as he processed the information. "Human, what do you suggest?" Jake considered the trajectory and energy signature. "We keep our distance for now. I can try to shield the ship and minimize detection, but if they engage, we'll need to act fast." The alien crew exchanged uncertain glances. They were skilled, experienced, and disciplined, yet the calm confidence of this human guided their actions. Slowly, they began to follow his instructions, securing sensitive areas, reinforcing shields, and preparing defensive systems, all under Jake's calm direction. As the Orion's reach continued through the void, the unknown vessel grew closer, its intentions still unclear. The stars passed silently outside, indifferent to the tension inside. The human engineer had already proven his value once, stabilizing the ship and guiding it through the deadly asteroid field. Now, he would be the one to decide how they faced whatever lay ahead. Verk watched him closely, realizing that the survival of the ship and crew now rested on a single human. This species, small and underestimated, had already saved them once. If they could do it again, the future of the crew, and perhaps the first steps of humanity among the stars, would be brighter than any alien had imagined. Jake's fingers moved across panels, rerouting power, strengthening shields, and monitoring the approaching ship. His mind calculated probabilities, possible maneuvers, and contingencies. He had no fear, only focus. The alien crew's hope, once fragile and uncertain, now leaned entirely on him. And for the first time, they felt something new, trust, not just in a human, but in the potential of humanity itself. The unknown vessel closed in, dark and silent against the void, its energy signature pulsing like a heartbeat. The bridge crew held their breath, watching Jake's calm presence guide every decision, every maneuver. In that moment, the human engineer was more than just a crew member. He was a symbol of resilience, ingenuity, and courage, a reminder that sometimes the smallest, most underestimated beings could change the course of fate. The unknown vessel loomed larger on the sensors, its outline barely visible against the dark void. The energy readings pulsed steadily, showing signs of power that the Orion's reach had never encountered before. The alien crew exchanged nervous glances, their instincts screaming caution. None of them had seen a ship move with such precision and silent menace, and its purpose remained a complete mystery. Jake stood at the navigation console, scanning every detail of the approaching vessel. His fingers danced across panels, accessing auxiliary sensors, cross-referencing signatures with known ship types, and running calculations at lightning speed. Despite the danger, he remained calm, his expression focused and composed. He had faced impossible situations before, and instinct told him that panic was a luxury they could not afford. Verk paced behind him, the tension evident in every movement. "What is it?" he demanded, his voice low but edged with concern. I have never seen a vessel like this. Is it hostile? Jake shook his head slightly, not looking up. I can't be sure yet. Its energy output is high and its approach is deliberate. But we can prepare defenses without provoking it. First, we need to shield the ship and minimize detectable signals. That will buy us time to understand its intentions. Lyra leaned closer, her multiple eyes narrowing at the readings. We don't have much time, she said. If it intends aggression, our shields may not hold against its energy weapons. We must act quickly. Jake nodded. I'll reroute auxiliary power to the shields and reinforce structural integrity. We'll also modify our energy signature to appear smaller on its sensors. If we act fast, it may pass us by without noticing. He moved with precision, activating circuits and rerouting power through unconventional pathways. The aliens watched in awe as he manipulated the ship's systems in ways they had never imagined. Wires were reconnected, shields tweaked, and energy flows balanced with perfect timing. Each adjustment increased the likelihood that the vessel would not detect them as a threat, yet each step carried its own risk. Verk observed silently, his scaled hands flexing. He had learned to trust Jake, but he could not shake the uneasy feeling that danger was closing in. This human's instincts, they are unlike anything I have witnessed, he muttered. We rely on calculations, protocols, centuries of knowledge, yet he trusts intuition. And it works. The Orion's reach drifted through space, its hull shimmering faintly under the strain of reinforced shields. Jake monitored the unknown vessel, adjusting energy signatures and preparing contingency plans. The alien crew followed his instructions, moving in perfect coordination despite their initial doubts. They began to understand that human ingenuity could complement their knowledge in ways that no protocol ever could. Suddenly, the unknown ship altered its course, shifting slightly toward the Orion's reach. Its intent became clear. This was no passive observer. Its energy signature pulsed stronger, and Jake felt the subtle vibrations through the ship's systems. It's scanning us, he said calmly. We need to maintain the shield modulation and keep our energy signature low. Any sudden change could trigger a response. Verk's eyes narrowed. Do you think it will attack? Jake shook his head. I don't know. But we can control the first encounter. If it senses us as weak or non-threatening, it may pass without conflict. If it sees us as a threat, we'll need a plan for evasion or defense. The alien crew worked with surprising efficiency under Jake's direction. Each member contributed their knowledge of systems, recalibrating sensors and adjusting the ship's energy flows. The combined effort created a harmony between alien precision and human improvisation, a synergy that had never existed before. The unknown vessel closed further, its hull visible now as a dark silhouette against distant stars. Its surface was unlike any human or alien design the crew had seen, smooth, black, and seemingly alive with energy. It moved with intent, silently tracking the Orion's reach as if studying it for weaknesses. Jake's mind raced. We need to prepare for the possibility of direct contact, he said. Our shields are strong, but prolonged exposure to their scanning or weapons could damage the ship. I'm going to set up decoy signatures to confuse their sensors. It's risky, but it may buy us time to analyze their systems and figure out what they want. Verk raised an eyebrow, his mandibles clicking. You propose trickery against an unknown force. Are you certain this will not provoke them? Jake's expression remained calm. We have little choice. If we remain predictable, they may interpret us as a threat or prey. A decoy gives us control, even for a short time. That control may be the difference between survival and destruction. He moved quickly, connecting auxiliary circuits and projecting false energy signatures through the ship's sensors. The alien crew assisted, following his instructions carefully and learning new methods in real time. The ship's energy patterns flickered and shifted, creating an illusion of movement and power that did not exist. The unknown vessel reacted immediately, its course changing slightly in response to the decoy. Jake's plan was working. The ship was analyzing false data, giving the Orion's reach a chance to maneuver and gather information. Lyra's eyes widened in admiration. Incredible, she said. He manipulates the flow of energy and information with such precision. No alien engineer could achieve this in such little time. Jake did not respond, his focus entirely on the task at hand. Every panel, every conduit, every sensor adjustment was critical. One wrong move could alert the unknown vessel to their true position. His hands moved with confidence, guided by both instinct and experience. Minutes passed like hours as the two ships moved silently through the void. The unknown vessel's scanning became erratic, confused by the decoy patterns. Jake used the time to study its movements, noting repeated energy pulses and subtle variations in speed. He began piecing together a pattern, predicting the ship's next move. Verk watched silently, realizing that their survival depended on this human's insight. "It is extraordinary," he muttered. "We rely on protocol and calculation, yet he reads the unknown and adapts instantly." "This is human brilliance." Jake finally leaned back slightly, breathing heavily but maintaining focus. "We have enough data now," he said. "I think I understand their approach. They are not immediately hostile, but they are assessing us. If we act carefully, we can guide this encounter toward diplomacy or at least avoid destruction." Lyra emitted a soft chirp of relief. "We survived again thanks to him," she said quietly. "We may not even need weapons. His insight alone gives us a chance." Jake nodded, scanning the sensors one last time. "We need to continue monitoring their movements," he said, "and prepare for any sudden change. If they decide to act aggressively, we'll need contingency plans for evasive maneuvers or defensive action. But for now, we have a chance to learn from them instead of reacting blindly." The alien crew worked with renewed energy, guided by Jake's instructions. Shields were adjusted, sensors recalibrated, and systems reinforced. The synergy between human intuition and alien precision created a level of preparedness that had never existed on the ship before. Outside the viewport, the unknown vessel hovered, silent and enigmatic. Its movements suggested intelligence, not randomness, and Jake's calculations confirmed that it was analyzing every aspect of the Orion's reach. The human engineer understood that this encounter could define the crew's future, either as a catastrophic threat or as an opportunity for understanding and alliance. Verk stood beside him, watching as Jake continued to manage the ship. "This human, he has changed everything," he said quietly. "Not just our chance of survival, but our understanding of what is possible. Perhaps humans are not merely small and fragile. Perhaps they are something greater." Jake adjusted the last few systems, ensuring that every sensor, every shield, and every conduit was functioning optimally. The alien crew began to relax slightly, trusting his guidance completely. For the first time, they realized that their human companion was more than an engineer. He was a problem solver, a strategist, and a leader in moments of crisis. The unknown vessel maintained its distance, pulsating with energy but showing no overt aggression. Jake's decoy patterns had worked, buying them time and control. He studied the ship's behavior, predicting its next actions with increasing accuracy. The Orion's reach was no longer merely reacting. It was guiding the encounter under the human engineer's direction. Minutes stretched, filled with tense anticipation. The alien crew watched Jake's every move, absorbing his decisions and learning from his ingenuity. They had seen humans underestimated before, but now they understood that this species possessed an unmatched combination of adaptability, courage, and creativity. Finally, Jake spoke, his voice calm and confident. "I think we can approach them carefully. We need to show we are not a threat but capable of communication. It's a delicate balance, but it's our best chance." Verk nodded slowly, his arms flexing in agreement. "Do it," he said. "Human, guide us. The crew follows your lead." Jake's hands moved across the controls, adjusting energy emissions, stabilizing shields, and preparing communication arrays. The Orion's reach moved forward steadily, guided by human insight, ready to face the unknown not with fear, but with intelligence, creativity, and courage. In the endless darkness of space, one human had proven that even in the face of uncertainty and alien superiority, ingenuity and determination could shine brighter than any star. And as the unknown vessel loomed closer, the crew of the Orion's reach understood that survival, and perhaps the future of humanity among the stars, rested on this one human engineer's brilliance. The unknown vessel loomed ever closer, a dark silhouette against the endless black of space. Its energy signature pulsed steadily, almost like a heartbeat, each pulse sending tremors through the Orion's reach's sensors. The alien crew watched with unease, their multiple eyes tracking every flicker of light on the displays. Every instinct they had screamed that this was no ordinary encounter. Jake stood at the navigation console, his hands moving swiftly across panels as he monitored the unknown vessel's approach. Every system of the ship was under his careful supervision: shields, energy output, engine thrusters, communication arrays, even life support redundancies. Despite the danger, he remained calm, focused entirely on keeping the crew safe. The human mind thrived on adaptability, and Jake's instincts were sharper than any algorithm the aliens had devised. Verk's eyes narrowed. "We have no knowledge of its intent," he said, his voice low and steady. "If it attacks, our weapons may not withstand its power. What do you propose, human?" Jake didn't look up immediately. He ran calculations in his mind, considering probabilities, the unknown ship's speed, its energy output, and its patterns. "We don't know if it's hostile," he said finally. "So we can't act aggressively, but we can create a decoy and a safe path for maneuvering. If it tries to scan or target us, we mislead it and we gain time. Time is our advantage." Lyra clicked her mandibles, a sound that expressed a mixture of anxiety and curiosity. "Decoy? How can we fool a vessel whose technology is clearly superior?" Jake's eyes focused on the displays. "By being unpredictable, we create multiple false signatures, shifting energy flows, simulating movement. They can see what they want, but they can't detect the real ship. It will take a moment for them to adapt, and that's all we need." Verk hesitated, then nodded. "Do it. The crew trusts you." Jake moved swiftly, connecting auxiliary circuits and manipulating energy conduits to project false signals. The alien crew assisted under his guidance, recalibrating sensors and stabilizing power systems to support the decoy. The Orion's Reach's energy readings flickered and shifted, creating an illusion of multiple vessels moving in formation. The unknown ship reacted immediately, changing course to analyze what it perceived as a fleet. For the first time since the encounter began, the alien crew relaxed slightly. They realized that their human companion was not only courageous, but capable of outsmarting a ship far more advanced than their own. Verk's jaw flexed, a silent acknowledgement of admiration. Minutes passed, tense and silent, as the decoy systems continued their work. The unknown vessel adjusted, testing each illusion, but Jake had anticipated its movements. Every change he made forced the alien ship to miscalculate, giving the Orion's Reach precious space and time to maneuver safely. Suddenly, a warning flashed on the tactical panel. "Hull breach detected in the forward section," Lyra cried. "Something has impacted the hull." Jake's eyes widened slightly, but he didn't panic. "Minor debris from the decoy's energy pulses," he said quickly. "It's scraping the hull, but shields are holding. We need to reinforce them temporarily while I stabilize the forward conduits." He moved rapidly, rerouting energy to strengthen the damaged section. Sparks flew as circuits overloaded slightly, but Jake's hands were steady, connecting the correct lines and balancing power. The alien crew watched, awestruck by the human's skill under pressure. Verk muttered under his breath. "This human, he handles chaos like it's a simple calculation. No alien could do this under such stress." Jake adjusted the final conduits, stabilizing the hull, and breathed a small sigh of relief. "We're safe for now," he said. "But we can't stay passive. We need to understand their intentions before they make the first move. We can't wait for them to strike." Lyra clicked softly, a sound of agreement. "How do we communicate? Their technology is unfamiliar, their methods unknown." Jake studied the unknown vessel's energy signature. "They are sending pulses, repeating patterns. It could be scanning or attempting communication. We need to mirror their pulses in a controlled way, showing we are intelligent, not aggressive. It's subtle, but it may prevent conflict." Verk tilted his head, listening carefully. "You propose a signal exchange without knowing their language," Jake nodded. "We don't need language yet, just proof of intelligence and caution. That may buy us time to negotiate or escape if necessary." He began adjusting the ship's energy outputs, mirroring the pulses of the unknown vessel. The ship responded immediately, holding steady but adjusting its position slightly. It was as if it was testing them, curious but cautious. The alien crew worked with Jake, fine-tuning the energy pulses and reinforcing shields. Together, human creativity and alien experience formed a precise balance, something neither could achieve alone. They were learning to trust each other in a way they never had before. Hours passed as the two vessels moved cautiously through space. Jake's focus never wavered. He analyzed every pulse, every adjustment, and every subtle movement of the unknown ship. Slowly, he began to understand its patterns, a combination of curiosity and cautious aggression, testing the crew and their responses. Verk's arms flexed in admiration. He reads them, he said quietly. He understands what we cannot. He is remarkable. Jake's mind raced. We can take this further, he said. If we simulate minor weaknesses, we can guide them into a pattern that favors us, not to attack, but to gain control of the encounter. They will think they are observing us, but we will dictate the interaction. Lyra's eyes widened. You're suggesting deception against a vessel far more powerful? Jake's expression was calm. It's not aggression, it's survival. If we make them believe they are in control, we stay safe while learning what we need. We don't provoke, we guide. Verk nodded, understanding the strategy. Do it, human. The crew trusts your judgment. Jake moved quickly, adjusting energy flows, creating subtle variations in the decoy patterns, and shifting the ship's movements ever so slightly. The unknown vessel followed, responding to the illusions, unaware of the true positions and strengths of the Orion's reach. Suddenly, a bright flash erupted on the main viewport. The unknown vessel emitted a beam of energy toward the decoy, testing its reaction. Sparks and light danced across the display as the beam struck a false signature, and the alien crew gasped in relief. Jake's hands moved faster, rerouting shields and dispersing energy. It's testing us, he said. We need to maintain the illusion or it may attack the real ship. Minutes of tense maneuvering passed. Each adjustment had to be precise. A single miscalculation could spell disaster. Jake's mind worked like a machine, calculating energy flows, predicting reactions, and guiding the crew through a deadly puzzle. Finally, the unknown vessel halted, hovering silently at a distance. Its energy pulses slowed, patterns stabilizing. Jake analyzed the readings carefully. It's assessing us, he said. They recognize intelligence. They aren't attacking for now. We have bought time. Verk exhaled slowly, relief mingled with awe. This human, he has kept us alive again, not by force, not by protocol, but by understanding and ingenuity. Lyra emitted a soft, melodic chirp. We may not know them yet, but we have survived an encounter that could have destroyed us. His thinking, it is beyond what we imagined humans capable of. Jake leaned back slightly, exhausted but alert. We can't celebrate yet, he said. We need to prepare for any sudden aggression and continue analyzing their behavior. But for now, we've gained a chance to learn and respond instead of reacting blindly. The alien crew moved to reinforce systems, guided by Jake's instructions. Every adjustment was precise, every response calculated. The Orion's reach was no longer merely surviving. It was navigating the unknown under human direction, its crew learning to trust the ingenuity of a species they had long underestimated. Outside, the unknown vessel pulsed steadily, observing, testing, but not yet attacking. The stars passed silently, indifferent to the tense negotiations unfolding in the darkness. The human engineer had once again demonstrated that courage, creativity, and intuition could rival even the most advanced technology. Verk stood silently, watching Jake coordinate the crew. Perhaps humans are not just survivors, he said quietly. Perhaps they are a species capable of shaping the universe around them with nothing but intellect and courage. Jake continued his work, adjusting energy flows, monitoring shields, and analyzing the unknown vessel. The alien crew followed his guidance, trusting him completely. The ship, once fragile and on the brink of destruction, now held steady under the brilliance of one human mind. Minutes stretched into hours, the tension never fully dissipating. Yet the crew felt a growing confidence. The human engineer had proven that even in the face of overwhelming uncertainty, they could survive. He had turned chaos into strategy, fear into calculated action, and a potentially deadly encounter into a chance for understanding. As the Orion's reach moved cautiously through space, the alien crew began to realize something profound. This human was more than a companion or an engineer. He was a leader in moments of crisis, a mind capable of seeing solutions where others saw only danger, and a reminder that even the smallest beings could change the course of fate. And in the endless expanse of the universe, the human engineer prepared for the next step, facing the unknown vessel directly, not with weapons, but with ingenuity, strategy, and the unyielding spirit that had already saved the crew twice. The Orion's reach drifted silently through the void, every system humming with cautious stability. The unknown vessel remained close, its dark hull pulsing with alien energy, as if it were studying every movement of the ship and its crew. The tension on the bridge was thick. The aliens' multiple eyes shifted nervously between the displays, and their limbs moved in careful, deliberate motions. They had faced danger before, but nothing like this. A silent, unknown force with power beyond their understanding. Jake stood at the navigation console, his fingers moving over panels with calm precision. Every sensor, every shield, every conduit was under his supervision. He had guided the ship through crises before, but this encounter demanded more than skill. It demanded strategy, adaptability, and courage. His eyes scanned the unknown vessel's energy signature, noting subtle shifts, learning patterns, and preparing for any unexpected move. Verk paced behind him, his forearms flexing with tension. "We cannot rely on luck," he said, his voice low and steady. "If it attacks, our shields may not withstand the energy. What is our plan, human?" Jake didn't look up immediately. He analyzed the vessel's movements, comparing them to earlier patterns. "They are intelligent, cautious, and assessing us," he said. "They are testing our responses, not attacking outright. That gives us a chance. We need to take control of the encounter without provoking aggression." Lyra clicked softly, her 6 eyes fixed on the approaching ship. "And how do you intend to do that? It seems far beyond anything we can match." Jake's hands flew across the console, rerouting power to shields and engines, balancing energy flows, and adjusting the ship's external signature. "We will use strategy, not force," he explained. "I will simulate weaknesses to guide them into patterns that favor us. We don't need to fight, we need to survive and gain information. That's how we win." Verk tilted his head. "You trust your instincts over our centuries of strategy?" Jake's gaze remained calm. "I trust observation, analysis, and adaptability. Those are more valuable than rigid protocol in situations like this." The crew moved with renewed energy, following Jake's instructions carefully. Every panel, every conduit, every shield adjustment was synchronized under his direction. The alien crew, skilled and experienced, began to see the value of human ingenuity. Their long lives had taught them precision and tradition, but Jake had shown them adaptability, courage, and the ability to improvise under pressure. The unknown vessel pulsed closer, its movements deliberate and testing. Jake analyzed the data, predicting its next action. "They are expecting us to react predictably," he said. "We will create controlled unpredictability. It will buy us time and control the encounter." He moved quickly, creating decoy signals and minor energy fluctuations that made the Orion's reach appear weaker and more vulnerable than it truly was. The unknown vessel adjusted, responding to the illusions, testing for openings, yet failing to detect the ship's true strength. Verk's eyes narrowed. "Incredible," he muttered. "He manipulates perception without aggression, without technology we can fully understand. This is human brilliance." Jake adjusted the shields further, reinforcing the hull and stabilizing the engines. The alien crew followed his guidance, each member contributing their knowledge while learning from his improvisation. Slowly, the unknown vessel began to hold a steady position, its energy signature pulsating calmly, no longer testing aggressively. Lyra clicked softly, a sound of admiration. "We have survived again, and without a single shot fired. He is teaching us a new way to face the unknown." Jake nodded but remained focused. "We have not won yet," he said. "We need to continue careful observation, be ready for sudden changes, and prepare for the possibility of negotiation or communication." Minutes passed, tense but controlled. The Orion's reach maintained a careful position, guided by Jake's strategy. Outside, the stars streaked silently, indifferent to the delicate balance unfolding between the two ships. Every adjustment, every calculation, every minor shift of energy was critical. Then, a subtle change occurred. The unknown vessel emitted a series of patterned pulses, distinct from its usual scans. Jake's eyes widened slightly. "They're attempting communication," he said. "We need to respond in a way that shows intelligence without aggression. I'll mirror their pattern with slight variations. It's subtle, but it may be enough to establish contact." He manipulated the energy outputs, creating mirrored pulses that aligned with the unknown vessel's signals. The ship responded immediately, adjusting its position and then holding steady. The alien crew watched in silence, understanding for the first time that they were witnessing a form of dialogue, an exchange of intelligence without words. Verk's jaw flexed. They recognize us, he said quietly, and it is because of him this human has turned fear into understanding. Jake continued the pulse exchange, carefully observing reactions and adjusting signals. Slowly, he began to interpret patterns, repeated sequences that suggested observation, analysis, and perhaps curiosity. The unknown vessel was studying them, learning from the human's strategy and responding in kind. Lyra clicked softly. It's remarkable. They are intelligent, but they are not hostile. He has turned a dangerous encounter into a controlled interaction. Jake's mind raced. If we continue carefully, we can establish trust and perhaps even avoid conflict entirely, but we must remain vigilant. One wrong move, and they may react defensively. The alien crew worked alongside him, reinforcing shields, monitoring energy flows, and preparing emergency maneuvers. The synergy between human ingenuity and alien precision created a level of preparedness that had never existed before. Hours passed in tense observation. The unknown vessel maintained its distance, its pulses steady but showing subtle signs of recognition. Jake analyzed every detail, noting slight variations in energy emissions and interpreting them as signs of intelligence and caution. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm but firm. We've established contact without aggression. They are learning about us and we are learning about them. The next step is cautious approach and careful communication. If we act wisely, we can turn this encounter into an alliance or at least mutual understanding. Verk nodded slowly, his forearms flexing with respect. Do it, human. The crew follows your lead. Jake adjusted the ship's energy outputs and navigated closer to the unknown vessel, maintaining a delicate balance of caution and initiative. Each movement was deliberate, signaling intelligence without threat. The alien crew watched in awe as the human engineer guided the ship with precision and courage, turning what could have been a deadly encounter into a moment of possibility. The unknown vessel responded with subtle shifts, matching the Orion's Reach's maneuvers. Jake recognized these as signs of acceptance, a willingness to engage without hostility. He signaled a slow, deliberate approach, allowing the alien crew to witness the process of negotiation through action rather than words. Lyra emitted a soft, melodic chirp. We may have survived, and more than that, we may have gained understanding. This human, he has changed everything. Jake's eyes remained focused, yet there was a small smile on his face. It's not over yet, he said. But we've proven that intelligence, strategy, and adaptability can triumph over fear and uncertainty. Verk's mandibles clicked softly in agreement. He has shown us that humans are not weak. They are capable of brilliance, courage, and leadership. Perhaps they are more than we imagined. The unknown vessel hovered silently, no longer a threat, but a presence that demanded attention and respect. Jake continued careful observation, ensuring that every system remained stable and every contingency prepared. The alien crew followed his lead, learning and adapting as they went. Hours stretched into days, the tension easing slightly as the two ships maintained their silent interaction. The human engineer had guided the Orion's Reach through crises, asteroid fields, and unknown threats. Now he had turned a potential disaster into a controlled encounter, preserving life and demonstrating the unparalleled capability of humans in critical situations. Finally, Jake spoke, his voice steady. We've survived the encounter, and they recognize our intelligence. We can proceed cautiously, continue observation, and perhaps establish a safe path forward. The immediate threat has passed, thanks to preparation, strategy, and adaptability. Verk nodded, his multiple eyes fixed on the human. You have saved this crew more times than I can count. Your ingenuity, courage, and calm in crisis have proven that humans are a force to be respected. I owe you more than words can express. Jake smiled faintly. I didn't do it for thanks. I did it because it needed to be done. That's what an engineer does, solve problems and keep people safe. Lyra's mandibles clicked softly, a sound of admiration and respect. We have learned much from you. Your species may be young, but your capabilities, they are extraordinary. You have turned what could have been disaster into survival and understanding. The alien crew moved through the ship, checking systems, reinforcing shields, and restoring normal operations. There was a new energy on the Orion's Reach, a sense of confidence and unity that had been absent before. The human engineer had not only saved the ship and crew, but had transformed their understanding of humanity. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, a silent witness to the courage, intelligence, and determination that had carried the Orion's reach through its trials. The unknown vessel remained in observation, now a distant but respected presence. The human engineer had proven that even the smallest, most underestimated beings could change the course of events in the universe. Jake leaned against the console for a moment, exhaustion creeping in, but his mind already racing ahead to the next challenge. The alien crew gathered around, their expressions filled with respect and gratitude. Verk spoke softly, his voice carrying weight. Humans are not to be underestimated. They may be young, but they are capable of brilliance, courage, and leadership. Today you have shown us that, Jake nodded. We all survived because we worked together. Alien or human, it doesn't matter. What matters is ingenuity, courage, and the will to survive. The stars outside shimmered, distant and cold, but inside the Orion's reach there was warmth, hope, and a profound sense of achievement. Humanity had proven itself once again, not through power or weaponry, but through intelligence, courage, and the ability to rise to any challenge. The ship continued its journey through the unknown, stronger, wiser, and united. The alien crew had gained not just survival, but understanding, and the human engineer had earned a place of respect and admiration that would be remembered across the stars. In the endless expanse of space, one human had changed the fate of many, proving that ingenuity, courage, and determination were the greatest strengths of all. And as the Orion's reach sailed onward, the crew knew that humanity's journey among the stars was only just beginning.